Today on D&D Academia, we discuss those closest to nature, the Druid. You can find Druids and additional information about them in the Player's Handbook and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Holding high a gnarled staff wreathed in holly, an elf summons the fury of the storm and calls down explosive bolts of lightning to smite the torch-carrying orcs who threaten her forest. Crouching out of sight on a high tree branch in the form of a leopard, a human peers out to the jungle at the strange construction of a temple of evil elemental air, keeping a close eye on the cultists' activities. Swinging a blade formed of pure fire, a half-elf charges into a mass of skeleton soldiers, sundering the unnatural magic that gives the foul creatures the mocking semblance of life. Whether calling on the elemental forces of nature or emulating the creatures of the animal world, Druids are an embodiment of nature's resilience, cunning, and fury. They claim no mastery over nature. Instead, they see themselves as extensions of nature's indomitable will. Druids revere nature above all, gaining their spells and other magical powers either from the force of nature itself or from a nature deity. Many Druids pursue a mystic spirituality of transcendent union with nature rather than devotion to a divine entity, while others serve gods of wild nature, animals, or elemental forces. The ancient Druidic traditions are sometimes called the Old Faith, in contrast to the worship of gods in temples and shrines. Druid spells are oriented toward nature and animals. The power of tooth and claw, of sun and moon, of fire and storm. Druids also gain the ability to take on animal forms, and some Druids make a particular study of this practice, even to the point where they prefer animal form to their natural form. For Druids, nature exists in a precarious balance. The four elements that make up a world, air, earth, fire, and water, must remain in equilibrium. If one element were to gain power over the others, the world could be destroyed, drawn into one of the elemental planes, and broken apart into its component elements. Thus, Druids oppose cults of elemental evil and others who promote one element to the exclusion of others. Druids are also concerned with the delicate ecological balance that sustains plant and animal life, and the need for people to live in harmony with nature, not in opposition to it. Druids accept that which is cruel in nature, and they hate that which is unnatural, including aberrations such as beholders and mind flayers, and undead such as zombies and vampires. Druids sometimes lead raids against such creatures, especially when the monsters encroach on the Druids' territory. Druids are often found guarding sacred sites or watching over regions of unspoiled nature. But when a significant danger arises, threatening nature's balance or the lands they protect, Druids take on a more active role in combating the threat as adventurers. At first level, Druids know Druidic, the secret language of Druids. You can speak the language and use it to leave hidden messages. You and others who know this language automatically spot such a message. Others spot the message's presence with a successful DC 15 Wisdom Perception check, but can't decipher it without magic. Also at first level, you get spell casting. Drawing on the divine essence of nature itself, you can cast spells to shape that essence to your will. You can also change your list of prepared spells when you finish a long rest. Wisdom is your spell-casting ability for your druid spells, since your magic draws upon your devotion and attunement to nature. You use your wisdom whenever a spell refers to your spell-casting ability. In addition, you use your wisdom modifier when setting the saving throw DC for a druid spell you cast, and when making an attack roll with one. Your spell save DC is equal to 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. Your spell attack modifier equals your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. Also at first level, you know 2 cantrips of your choice from the druid spell list. You learn additional druid cantrips of your choice at higher levels. You also know ritual casting. You can cast a druid spell as a ritual if that spell has the ritual tag and you have the spell prepared. You can also use a Druidic focus as a spellcasting focus for your Druid spells. At second level, you get Wild Shape. You can use your action to magically assume the shape of a beast that you have seen before. You can use this feature twice. You regain expended uses when you finish a short or long rest. Your Druid level determines the beast you can transform into. At second level, for example, you can transform into any beast that has a challenge rating of a 4th or lower that doesn't have flying or a swim speed. Once you get to 4th level, it can be any beast with a challenge rating of a half or lower, and it can have a swim speed. And finally, at 8th level, any beast with a challenge rating of 1 or lower that can also fly or have a swim speed is available to you. If you want to be able to change into something with a higher challenge rating than 1, work with your dungeon master to see what you can come up with. Also, as the dungeon master, feel free to bend the rules for what they can change into. Some monstrosities and other creatures would make a lot of sense. You can stay in a beast shape for a number of hours equal to half your druid level rounded down. You then revert to your normal form unless you expend another use of this feature. You can revert to your normal form earlier by using a bonus action on your turn. You automatically revert if you fall unconscious, drop to 0 hit points, or die. While you are transformed, the following rules apply. Your game statistics are replaced by the statistics of the beast, but you retain your alignment, personality, and intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. You also retain all of your skill and saving throw proficiencies, in addition to gaining those of the creature. If the creature has the same proficiency as you and the bonus in its stat block is higher than yours, use the creature's bonus instead of yours. If the creature has any legendary or lair actions, you can't use them. When you transform, you assume the beast's hit points and hit dice. When you revert to your normal form, you return to the number of hit points you had before you transformed. However, if you revert as a result of dropping to 0 hit points, any excess damage carries over to your normal form. For example, if you take 10 damage in animal form and only have 1 hit point left, you revert and take 9 damage. As long as the excess damage doesn't reduce your normal form to 0 hit points, you aren't knocked unconscious. You can't cast spells, and your ability to speak or take any action that requires hands is limited to the capabilities of your beast form. Transforming doesn't break your concentration on a spell you've already cast, or prevent you from taking actions that are part of a spell, such as Call Lightning, that you've already cast. You retain the benefit of any features from your class, race, or other source and can use them if the new form is physically capable of doing so. However, you can't use any of the special senses, such as dark vision, unless your new form also has that sense. You choose whether your equipment falls to the ground in your space, merges into your new form, or is worn by it. Worn equipment functions as normal, but the Dungeon Master decides whether it is practical for the new form to wear a piece of equipment based on the creature's shape and size. Your equipment doesn't change shape or size to match the new form, and any equipment that the new form can't wear must either fall to the ground or merge with it. Equipment that merges with the form has no effect until you leave the form. At second level, you get to choose your Druidic circle. You choose to identify with a circle of druids. Some examples are Circle of the Moon, Circle of Spores, and Circle of Wildfire. Your choice grants you features at second level and again at 6th, 10th, and 14th level. At second level, you also get Wild Companion. You gain the ability to summon a spirit that assumes an animal form. As an action, you can expend a use of your wild shape feature to cast the Find Familiar spell without material components. When you cast the spell in this way, the familiar is a fae instead of a beast. and the familiar disappears after a number of hours equal to half your druid level. Once you reach 4th level, you can get your ability score improvement. This also happens again at 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th level. What you can do is you can increase one ability score of your choice by 2 or increase 2 ability scores of your choice by 1. As normal, you can't increase any ability score above 20 using this feature. Using the optional feats rule, you can forego taking this feature to take a feat of your choice instead. Also at 4th level, you get cantrip versatility. Whenever you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can replace one cantrip you learned from this class's spellcasting feature with another cantrip from the Druid spell list. At 18th level, you get Timeless Body. The primal magic that you wield causes you to age more slowly. For every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year. Also at 18th level, you get beast spells. You can cast many of your druid spells in any shape you assume using wild shape. You can perform the somatic and verbal components of a druid spell while in beast shape, but you aren't able to provide material components. And finally, at 20th level, you get Arch Druid. You can use your wild shape an unlimited number of times. Additionally, you can ignore the verbal and somatic components of your druid spells, as well as any material components that lack a cost and aren't consumed by a spell. You gain this benefit in both your normal shape and your beast shape from wild shape. This has been D&D Academia's episode all about the Druid class. I hope you enjoyed it, and if there's anything you'd like to see get an Academia episode, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.